search of the 3 missing Montgomery College students continues in Frederick County.
And I got to play with your wand. It was great.
Definitely fun.
Keep going.
Yeah, Chris.
Pretty good. How are you?
Can we call you Chris, or do you? That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
It's listed as Christopher everywhere online, and I'm like, well, we don't know this guy on a close enough basis to call him Chris yet. Unless he tells us we can.
Nah, it's all good.
All right, good deal. Well, we're glad to have you here, dude.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Yes, welcome to Footage Foreplay. I'm excited to talk to you.
So glad to be here.
And thanks for making time to join us.
Absolutely.
But yeah, how have you been? How was your holidays? All that good stuff.
It was good. It was nice and calm, and there wasn't much that happened, which I liked a lot. It was nice. And,
Okay, so
nice and chill. Yeah.
Where are you located, by the way? You're not in the crazy fires of LA, are you?
No. I'm from Jackson, Mississippi, so that's where I am right now. And
Nice.
Just a couple hours from me.
Oh,
really,
so you in the same area as Evan. Evan lives in the shed in Mississippi.
There we go.
I do. I'm coming from the shed right now. Yeah, I'm over near Laurel.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know where
so
that
I'm not
is?
too far from you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Nice.
It's kind of
Okay,
around
well,
like Hattiesburg-y kind of sort of.
Yeah. Yeah. Right near Hattiesburg. Yeah, I'm like 45 minutes from Hattiesburg. I'm kind of actually, I think, in between you and Hattiesburg a little bit.
So yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I don't get up there a lot, but I need to sometime. We can hang out.
Sure.
Don't scare this poor man. Let's just see how this goes first.
Turn off the camera. I'm done. Yeah.
Awesome. So we saw a couple of your movies. You've made a couple of horror movies and stuff like that. What got you into horror? What got you into the genre? And are you a big horror fan? Where did this all start for you?
Definitely a big fan. The first horror movie I can remember seeing all the way through was House of Wax from 1953 with Vincent Price.
Throwback.
And that was
classic.
That just set me on a trajectory that I've been on ever since. I was actually a really easily frightened kid when I was very, very young. I think I saw that movie when I was maybe 6 or so. And up to that point, if I saw anything horror, I would just freak out. I would have nightmares that were just the worst you can ever imagine. And so I think that movie kind of cured me of my nightmares. And I kind of thought, oh, well, maybe I should watch more of these. And it would just, and so that's what I did. And so I would try to watch every single big one that I could discover. I mean, it started mostly with stuff that was on TV back in the day, because if it was on cable, I was allowed to watch it. If I was going to rent it, it had to be under like I think PG-13 was the most that I could go to. So it had to be on TV, cut and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You're in a totally different territory now with your own movies, huh?
I guess so.
It's clear to see though. I think if you look at your movies, because you've done your most recent one, when the Trash Man Knocks, you're kind of doing like an almost Carpenter kind of slasher thing. But if you look at all your movies, it's clear that you're a horror guy, because you kind of sort of play with different subgenres across your features a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I mean, that's what I love about the genre so much, is that there's all these little categories. You know, you've got supernatural, you've got slasher, you've got psychological, you have ghosts, you have possession and demons and all these. There's so many ways you can go, and it's such a diverse sort of nuanced genre. Whereas with drama, it's like, well, there's drama and drama. It's like it's like there's like romantic drama, like dramedy. I don't know. Historical drama. But with horror, it's like, here's a big scroll of all the subgenres, and I love that.
Yeah,
Speaking
absolutely.
Of subgenres, do you have like a favorite? Like, seems like slashers is your go-to in a way.
I do love a slasher. I do. I just think they're fun, and I think you can do a lot with a slasher. I think most people try not to. They like to keep it really simple, But for me, like, I'm always a bigger fan of the ones that kind of try something that's a little bit different and kind of weird. You know, like you'll see a slasher movie, like something like I don't know if y'all have heard of this. There's one called Bloodbeat that is one of the weirdest movies you will ever see in your life, because it's a slasher movie, but it's supernatural. There might be a ghost involved. There's like a samurai in the woods of Wisconsin during Christmas who is brought back to life by a girl who's masturbating. It's very weird. It's very strange. I highly recommend it because it's very, very odd. Oh, that's the one. Bloodbeat. Yeah.
Okay. Russell, I know you've seen this.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, we reviewed it back when we would do the, like, people come over and review a movie.
Wow.
So what about found footage, Chris? Are you into found footage?
God, I wish I could say I was.
Okay.
There's a little. I know. I throw the tomatoes. I deserve it. Everyone loves it, and my problem is usually a lot of the ones that I've seen. And granted, I have not seen that many, so it's not like I'm very well versed. But the ones that I've seen, I'm always like, why are they recording still? You know, it's like it's one thing with a movie like Record, where, you know, it's part of their job. Like, they are, you know, they're a TV crew that are tasked on getting this story. Of course, they're going to keep going. But when it's like just random dude with an iPhone, like, all your friends are dead, dude. Put down the phone. You know, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm just like, just put it down. It's ridiculous. But that's just me, and I know I'm going to get some hate for that. But sorry.
No. I was just curious.
You do tend to play with, I think, what because we call it at Unnamed Footage Festival in-world camera is how we refer to it, because it's like found footage is just one type of in-world camera. You know, there's like Screen Life where it's all computers. There's like faux documentaries where there is like a crew, different styles, POV, you know, hybrid. And I think you do kind of play with some of the documentary-esque stuff, like in with When the Trash Man Knocks. The way it starts out is sort of like a faux doc kind of thing that's happening, and then it goes into the actual traditionally shot stuff. So
now something like that, I think I could maybe do. That's kind of a sort of a mockumentary kind of thing. Yeah. That could be potentially interesting, because there's so many ways you could go with that. But just like the whole idea of like, we're, you know, explorers, and we heard this place is haunted. Let's have a camera and start going through. Like, that's not really for me. But I
feel it. You don't like movies where people go to places and get bodied by demons.
I mean, you know, I like that. Like, I like Night of the Demons. But if that was a found footage movie, at a certain point, I'd be like, why are y'all still recording? What's going on? Like, unless it's, you know, they're trying to be like influencers or something. Like, we have to get this because look at all these people watching. We're going to become viral. I could maybe get on board with that. That's a pretty good motivation to keep going, I guess. But I don't know. I need a good motivation for it, or else I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah. Okay.
No,
that's totally fair. I think because a lot of movies don't write that into it. They don't think about that. Right. It feels like, you know, and I think like it makes the ones I think that do consider that all the more effective, you know,
like, and maybe I just haven't seen any really great ones. My co-producers on Trash Man are big fans, and they would like to make one.
Okay.
And so they're trying to make me a list of all the ones that are really, really good. And they love them. Like, I think almost every night they're like, we discovered another one on Tubi.
There's a lot. There's
like, a lot. There really are.
I'm sure there are, because they cost probably what, like $2.50 to make. I mean, it's just like, you've got a phone, you know. No, I mean, like, mine cost about as much, so I can't speak. But, you know, it's a very easy way to kind of break in, because you don't need a lot. You just need like a couple of friends, your iPhone, and somewhat of an idea of what to do, and so it's a great way to kind of, you know, hone your skills a bit. There's no shade involved. It's not for me. It's just not.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So when we
got to get your friends to recruit you in when they make theirs.
I know it's shameful. Maybe one day. I never say never. Never say never, because there have been some I've really liked. I liked Hell House. I liked.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
LLC.
what was the other one? Damn it to hell! I can't remember it. That's actually a good name. A name for one. Damn it to hell.
Damn it to hell. There you go.
Shit. I've seen more than just one. I promise. I just
Yeah.
can't think of them all.
It'll
But,
come
yeah.
to you.
At some
Put you on
point.
the
Yeah.
spot.
Maybe. It's been a weird day, so it might not. But we'll just have to wait and see.
So when the Trash Man Knocks, that's streaming what on Amazon and on Tubi and all that good stuff. That's your most recent, right?
Yes, indeed. Yes. That's the
Yeah.
one.
So are you gonna turn this Trash Man killer into like a new like franchise per se, or like you're gonna bring him back like this urban legend of a killer?
I don't know. I don't like sequels that much either. I'm just talking about
You
all the stuff I
don't?
don't
Okay.
like tonight. What is
No,
wrong
that's
with
great.
me? I feel so
That's-
negative
We're getting it
tonight.
out of the way. We're getting
Oh,
it out of the
no.
way
so
right
we
up
can
top.
get-
You
so we
know.
can get into the good shit.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah,
I
'cause-
feel like a Debbie Downer. I mean,
No, you're
really.
good. Yeah, the
Dang.
Trash Man Knocks. So how was the process of coming along with that story? Was that something from a personal experience? Because an agoraphobic, I can't even say the word, woman, because she don't like going outside. I'd be scared to go outside too. But I mean, I'm playing. But no, that was kind of terrifying to be in a horror film like that, where she's scared to go outside and there's a killer after her, this Trash Man killer that she's like been thinking about all these years, and he comes
Mhm.
back, and her and her son. So what did this come about for you? This story?
Well, I'd been playing around with the idea of an agoraphobic main character since the beginning.
Mhm.
Really, I made a movie called Perversion back when I was like 18, 19 that had a character that was agoraphobic, of sort of a similar situation too, where he had witnessed his family being killed. And he was living with his brother, who was like, "I need you to get out of the house because I have a life. I'd like to move on. Why are you, dragging me down?" And that's the one. Gross. I don't even want to see it.
Oh, why?
Get it
I
off the
want to
screen.
watch it.
It's horrible. It is terrible. I didn't know what I was doing. It's just me drenched in blood, screaming, giving a horrible performance. It's really, really bad.
Oh, there you okay.
It's terrible. I look at me. I was so young and so thin. Good Lord. And peekaboo.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
we're getting racy with
Oh,
it
it looked
now.
like you're having fun.
really not so great film. So
Mhm.
and trust me, this is not reverse psychology to make you want to watch the movie. Like it's not so good, guys. It
You
wasn't
got to start
great.
somewhere.
Yeah,
you know?
it was a movie that I made that was a feature-length film, which at 18, 19, that's an accomplishment in and of itself.
Definitely.
Oh, for sure.
But it's not great. But there were ideas that weren't really fully cooked in that were really cool ideas that kind of became a little bit more cooked by the time I got around to Trash Man. So the
Mhm.
whole idea of this person who is scared to leave the house because of this horrible thing that happened to them, a family member who kind of wants to move on and kind of have their own life. That's all in there. And then of course this threat returns and they're like, do I stay inside where I think I'm safe, but am I really? Or do I
Yeah.
try to fight it? And so it's really kind of a similar concept there. And then just the idea of trying to do something that was a little more straightforward and kind of traditional, kind of playing with like a sort of an urban legend kind of thing where there's this character from the past, and if you hear him knock 3 times, and just trying to find something kind of fun like that. And there were some problems that I had with a certain franchise that recently came back,
Uh-oh.
and
Halloween.
I thought,
Which one?
I mean,
I'm just guessing.
no comment.
Oh, okay.
And so I just thought, well, I could sit here and complain about it, or I could go and maybe try to make what I would have done, because you always see the people online say, well, if I had that money, I would have done this, I would have done that. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, well, that's great, but you're not going to do it. So I thought, well, maybe I could try to see what I would have done if I had the reins of the franchise. And so that's basically what I did. Maybe not the best reason to make a movie. Also, I had worked with pretty much everyone in this on my previous film, and I had such a good time that I just thought, I want to make something else with these guys. They were so much fun to work with, and so I
was
just
that
kind of
Children of Sin?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was
yeah, okay,
fun.
'cause that's
I like that one.
Yeah,
That's
the
probably my
first one I
favorite.
saw.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, that was the first one I seen. And I forgot I had watched it until Evan, you told me. I was like, oh yeah, I did log that on Letterboxd.
Oh, yay, yay.
I think it's my
Yes.
favorite that I've seen
Yeah.
in years too. I've seen like 3 now, I think.
Oh, nice.
And I think this Children of Sin is still my favorite
It's
too.
my favorite. I
With the
just think
brother
that,
and sister. And...
yeah.
How did this come along? Let's talk about this one.
This is my favorite. This is I wrote this during the COVID lockdowns, and it was an idea that I had years ago when I started to go to Catholic school, and there were certain teachers that were just a little too a little too scary, and a little too into the religious stuff, and I thought, well, this would be interesting if there was a group that kind of took it a little bit too far, and I had heard about these conversion camps, and the whole concept just freaked me out. And so it was around like 7th or 8th grade when I first kind of got the idea. And then of course it took, God knows how many years now to really make it, because that was probably, I don't know, 2003 or 4, and this was like 2002, I think, when it was released. So some ideas just take a little while to really gestate and stuff like that. But it's my personal favorite so far. You never know what's going to come next, but as of now, it's my favorite.
Yeah, I used to work with there's a girl that's in it, Faith Stanley. I used to work with her sister, and I ran into them at a game one night, and we started talking about it, and you came up and stuff, and it was just it's crazy that like that doesn't happen that much in Mississippi.
No,
is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely not. No, there's not much going
it's
on
somewhere
here.
somewhere like where Russ and Terrell are in the Bay Area. I don't feel like it's that uncommon to run into somebody who's like making movies and stuff. But that's just that you don't run into that many people doing movies around here. So it was a small world moment.
That's so cool.
But you talked about, now that you mentioned going to Catholic school, and you mentioned like not being able to watch stuff that much when you were younger. How much would you say that because I didn't know all that about you, but how much would you say that stuff like informed your taste and your work now,
God, I mean, probably more than I even know. I mean, probably subconsciously there's all kinds of stuff that's hasn't even come out yet. I kind of tend to think of my time from about the age of 10 to 17 is kind of like a dark period where I kind of just blacked it out in some ways, because there was a lot of stuff going on personally. And it was one of those times where I felt like I really had to hide and kind of try to change who I was and sort of try to please people and sort of dim my light, I guess you could say. I wasn't really myself. And some of that lingered well into my 20s. It started to kind of shift, I think, once I went off to college, and it was an arts school, so people were a bit more open-minded. It was a bit more diverse. I was meeting kinds of people that I hadn't really met before, people from different states and countries, different political ideas from the people that I knew back home, and politics was something I didn't really even think about until I was in college. I just assumed, oh well, all these people in my family believe this, so I guess I believe this too. Religion, same thing. It was like this is what we believe. Don't stray from that, or else it might get ugly. And I think I needed the time to really think for myself there and hear some other opinions. So I'm still trying to work through stuff. I mean, to this day, I'm 35. I'm still trying to work through shit. I don't know if that ever really goes away. There's so much that's ingrained in you, especially in the deep South. Certain things that you should be ashamed of, certain people you shouldn't be friends with, or you shouldn't be around because they're bad or something. It's this stupid stuff that makes no sense once you really start to think for yourself. But there's always going to be little crumbs of that you have to kind of sweep away constantly. So it always comes out in my work. There's a lot of mistrust of authority, a lot of mistrust on certainly religious institutions that I think are kind of sometimes abusing their power. There's a lot of that stuff. It's bound to make its way in there. And in fact, my first film, Blessed Are the Children. I guess it's not really my first official film, but the first one that actually was distributed. That was dealing with abortion, and it was a kind of a pro-choice film, and that all came out of Catholic school too. I didn't know what that was until I was in Catholic school, and they were so gung-ho about like pro-life stuff, and I was like, what's the big deal? And once again, it was like children of sin. It was like, what if someone out there took it too far and tried to punish
Yeah.
people who had abortions? And I thought, well, that's pretty freaking scary, so let's run with that. And
That's one I haven't seen that one.
I think it's hard to find. I don't know where it's even streaming now. I have no.
I think it's on something. I was looking around at your stuff before this, and it is on something, I think.
Oh,
but
good.
it's the other one I saw was Stranger Among the Living, which
right.
has some more political like stuff going on. But I would say you go in a way more surreal direction than any of your other movies.
Yeah,
with
that one's more of a. I think my main goal there, which once again, I don't know if this is a great reason to make a movie, but I was like, I wonder if I could make a movie that just felt like a nightmare, just felt like a dream, where things don't really make a lot of sense if you really get down to it. It's kind of like this weird fever dream of a movie. And it was kind of inspired by a dream that I had when I was in college. The first probably 10 minutes of the movie are basically that dream with some stuff kind of changed. And just the idea of like this character who feels so guilty about not doing enough. He really feels like he could have made a big difference if he had just used his voice. I think I didn't know it at the time, but I think I related a lot to that character. I think there was a lot of stuff where I thought, I don't know if I'm speaking out about things enough. I don't know if I'm if I'm too scared to really be myself and to really say what I feel and what I mean. And so I think I was dealing with a bit of that. And of course, there's a lot of grief. I think grief is something that's in all of my films. For a few reasons. I think my father passed away, and in some ways I'm still kind of dealing with that. A lot of characters in my films don't have a father. So it's like, well, there's that right there. And then also just grieving this current situation of what's going on right now in the country. I feel like I'm grieving a certain way of life that no longer exists. It's sort of this, even with Stranger, it's like, all the people, these sort of zombie-like people. I mean, that's kind of how I think about a lot of people in the United States right now. It's like trying to run away from those people before they get you, and they turn you into one of them. I feel like it's like we're living in a time right now where people are really crazy and they are trying to get you on their side, and it's really frightening. So there's
it feels like hands pulling you apart almost,
Absolutely. It's really scary. It's really terrifying. It's a scary time, man. Whew.
Yeah, and you definitely have a lot of that in your work. You can see the I don't know, your past and your surroundings come through in your work in a way that is pretty cool and feels personal, and I like that in movies, personal kind of touches on stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
more so than just
like, I think
telling a random story.
At the end of the day, that's really all you can do. I mean, there's only so many stories. Every story's been told 4,000 times. I always tell people, if you're going to start to write, don't worry about your story having been told in some way before. I mean, you look at, say, a story like Cinderella. That's a story that has been retold 4 trillion times. When we're long gone off the face of the earth, they will still be telling that story years and years from now. But every version is a little bit different. There's always a little twist, it's coming from this perspective or that perspective. And it makes a huge difference, even though it's basically the exact same story, but you get a completely different feel. Some are more funny, some are more dark, some are a little bit campier, some are musicals, it's kind of this story that never dies, and it never will, because as long as you're going to put your own personal stamp on that story, you're good to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's like a dream story that you want to tell?
Oh boy. Well, there's a remake of a movie that I've wanted to do for years. A movie called Curtains. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's a Canadian film.
You know it.
It's
I do know it. Is it the one with the hag mask?
Yes.
Oh yes, I know.
Yeah.
I know that movie.
Yeah.
Yes, hell yeah. That's good. I love that movie. It's good.
I think I saw that when I was maybe 15 or 16. It's been about 20 years now, and that is when
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm going to take this movie, I'm gonna remake it. I'm gonna fix all the
wondering.
problems that everyone has
Yep,
with
I know
it, and
this.
it has been a dream of mine for years.
The Curtains
So,
remake.
Oh, this sounds really cool. I
it's
like
a great movie. It's, I mean, it's
They
not
haven't-
remote
well,
snowy
great,
stuff.
kind of
They
it's
haven't
it's
remade
an
this
odd
already,
film.
have they?
No,
Oh,
it's
wow, I'm surprised.
but it's one of those movies. I actually tried to find out who had the rights, and I still cannot find out who has them. So
That's different.
I'm kind of at the point now where I'm like, I think I'll just make a movie that's similar to it, you know, and kind of do my own thing, because all my ideas for it would take it in a very different direction anyway. So, and it's not like it's one of those movies like a Halloween or a Nightmare on Elm Street where the title is really, really well known. So
Yeah.
I don't think people would be like, oh, a remake of that movie that I loved when I was a kid. It's not going to be like that.
Right.
So really the title's not that important. So I might just try to do my own thing. And
You can do like a southern set version
yeah,
of it. You know?
I mean,
yeah, move it to the
it'd
south.
be great.
Take it to the summer instead of winter.
Why
or something,
not?
You know?
Yeah,
I don't know what
we don't
happens in
really-
the movie. I haven't seen it.
We don't
but
really have any
I-
winters here. We have like one
yeah,
day of cold.
hey, we're supposed to. I don't know about where you're
It's
at,
gonna
but
snow
we might
next
be getting
week,
snow.
right? Yeah, what is that
Yeah,
about?
Right?
That's
No,
great.
Fucking wild.
Mississippi?
Yeah. So I've got one day to do my remake. One day.
There you go. One day you got to get out there
All
and
I've
shoot while
got.
there's snow.
Damn.
So
enough
do you
time.
have anything new in the works that you're working on? Any scripts that you're working on? Or you're in the
Yeah.
process of filming something new? Because I know you got something. When the Stranger Knocks, the Trash Man Knocks, didn't that come out last year? I think,
Yeah, that was
2023?
last year. It came out around just like November. It was kind of Thanksgiving
Oh.
time. Yeah, and
It is a holiday
this
horror
one-
movie.
Yes, technically. I
Takes-
still think
takes
we
place
could have
during-
maybe done a little bit more to make it more Thanksgiving-y, but
Yeah, because it was very Thanksgiving. The mom was like, "Oh, did you put up the Christmas decorations? Yeah, she's getting ready for
Mhm.
Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is this? What you working on next?
oh well. This and the next one is called Until You're Alone, and it is
Uh-oh.
it's sort of erotic thriller giallo.
Oh, my
kind of movie.
favorite.
Yeah, it's gonna be super fun. I can't wait. Oh yeah, there's my little casting call there.
Oh,
yeah.
look at you, Evan. You're doing
up
good
there.
today. You must have had some extra squirrels.
yeah. Wow.
I got my coffee in me. I'm trying to.
Oh yeah,
Hey.
I'm still trying to wake up too.
Fantastic. Yeah, this one's going to be so much fun. I love this script. Probably the most of any script that I've ever written.
Ooh.
It's funny, it's sexy, it's ridiculously violent. It's very much kind of I guess it's sort of a little Dario Argento, a little Brian De Palma, and it's really great. I'm so excited. So I'm in pre-production for that right now. We just we just started casting all day long.
Okay.
I've been working on shot lists and breakdowns
Okay.
and having breakdowns myself. It's it's great. Wonderful.
And this
Pre-production
is gonna shoot
fun.
in Mississippi
Yeah.
as well, or you're gonna go?
Yeah. We're gonna
Oh, it
be
is?
back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
It's where I think there's not a lot of stuff that's being made here. So I kind of like the idea of, just really kind of showcasing what we've got, and it's
Yeah.
not always an awful lot, but it's it gets the job done. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I like the people that I work with. Hopefully a lot of them will return for this. And we're gonna have a really great time, and it's gonna be something I've never really quite done before. I think I've played around with giallo style in terms of like the colors and the compositions before, but this time the plot is genuinely giallo. It's like a murder mystery. There's lots of suspects and who done it, and it's
Oh, I
really
love that
fun.
kind of stuff.
I can't wait. It's gonna be super fun.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll have to shoot you an email and stay in touch so I can come out there and help out when you
Yeah,
start shooting because
sure.
I'm a couple hours down the road.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
we're supposed to start in March, so that should be.
Why is that so funny, Russell?
Evan, you a mess.
Dude, I'm just trying to get involved.
No, it's good.
I'm trying to get involved. No, that'd be fun. It'd be fun to come up there and just see, too, to see how you do things. Because we shot a feature, but it was 2 people, and it was sort of documentary, on the fly style. So probably very different than what you're doing. So it'd be interesting just to come see what how you do things.
It's not too different. I mean, we usually have a crew of about 2. I mean, it's really not.
Okay.
It's pretty bootleg. Our little operation that we have. It's not really. It's not like a big set with a bunch of crew, and because that actually kind of gives me hives. The idea of so many people just being around.
Oh, really?
It's more like crowd control instead of trying to make a movie. You're like, okay, you get out of the way, you go here, you do this, you do that. Why are you here? Who the fuck are you? Get out! Like that drives me crazy. Like that, just because like even when people bring people on the set and I don't know, I'm like, what are they doing here? Why is there an extra person here? Who is this? What's their story? What are they doing? Like it screws up the entire dynamic. Like with Trash Man, I remember there was a scene where I was supposed to give this big like dramatic monologue thing, and the day of the set they brought someone who I didn't know at that time. I've since become fairly friendly with this person, but at the time I was like, this is a completely new person. This is a very tender moment. I need to really get into the scene. And I was like, this is just throwing me off, man.
With that person, what's your sign? I want to know.
I was like,
what's
it's
your
weird.
birthday?
November 10th. So I was like, this is weird.
Oh, so you're like you're Scorpio?
Scorpio, yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's
threw
off
me off
topic.
completely.
Yeah, Terrell's always got to find out what people's sign is.
Because of stuff he's been saying. I just wanted to know. Okay, no, get along with Scorpio.
Does it sound Scorpio? I don't know. I just think it's
no, but no. It's
really
you want things a certain way. I get that.
yeah.
I'm a Virgo,
I mean,
so I get it. But I was just wondering, off topic.
There's also
I
like
that.
the like the rising sign and that kind of stuff too. So
That's
maybe
right.
there's what you put off and then what you like, how you feel inwardly and all that different stuff. So maybe you're just a Scorpio on the exterior.
Maybe.
And,
I really don't
something
know.
else going on.
I mean,
inside.
I've never.
Sophia taught me about all that stuff. I
much.
had no idea what any astrology stuff was.
Yeah,
before.
all I know is that I think we're supposed to be crazy and like oversexed or something. That's all.
Oh, you're very oversexed. That's
apparently,
that's the number one
and
thing.
I wish someone would have.
That's why you're doing that sex movie.
I get
you know it.
This is the most Scorpio movie that I will have made.
That's what I want to ask. So are you starring in this movie?
I do have a part in this, yeah, but it's actually it's the kind of role I've never played before, which is really exciting. He's okay. I don't want to give too much away, but he's you don't have to. Just a little sneak peek. Completely the opposite of the last two things that I played. He's got a kind of a confidence and a swagger and he's very open-minded and just sort of almost kind of whimsical and fun and so that's going to be a blast because the last two were kind of downers and that kind of played on my head for a while. I was like, it was kind of hard to get out of that head space and I didn't find it to be very much fun. So I'd like to have some fun this time. I was about to say you're gonna have fun with this next one. Absolutely.
Okay. So you write, you direct, you tell all these stories, you act. So what's your like number one? Like, do you have a favorite part of all this, or just? Oh,
yeah, it's like
because you're like a triple threat.
Well, it's like trying to pick between your kids. It's like
oh, okay.
But I think the sort of passion for acting came later, and I think ever since I was about 5 or 6 years old, I knew I wanted to make movies. So I guess I would say, I don't know if that's writing or directing because it's kind of both, but just sort of telling stories. I knew, I think it was 1995 when I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to make movies. So that's always been there, and so I guess maybe directing. I guess I don't know.
I was just wondering because I figured the stories and the directing came first, and then you started acting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that brings up an interesting point too. You were talking about 1995. You knew there's some home video looking footage in When the Trash Man Knocks.
Oh right, yeah.
Is that you? Is that your home video?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I thought it might be.
For that stuff, I was inspired by, of all things, y'all can laugh if you want to, but Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. There's a scene where
that movie rips. A 5-star banger.
Thank you. I think it's a fascinating film. Okay, it's fascinating.
No, it's a no for me.
scene.
Y'all
I
can have
knew
the
there was gonna be at
unicorns
least
and the
one.
Myers. They're both down here. They love it.
Well, there was a scene where the character of Annie is killed, and her father comes in and sees it, and as he's seeing her corpse, he's like flashing back to her as a kid. I remember thinking that's very moving, and it was footage of her when she was actually a kid. It was like a kind of a home movie kind of a thing. And I thought that's a really cool thing there, and so I kind of just stole it. It's like, I like this. I like it.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
And I liked that. Those were
bit.
standout moments for me.
Oh, thank you.
In it. Like because I liked it. It was cool. I like any kind of course we're found footage hounds though, so we like the kind of like grainy old video. Like it just speaks to us, I think.
Oh
but
God. Well, I've got a lot
it's
of
also
that
just
stuff
cool that
from like way
that it's
back
you.
when. There was, I mean,
yeah,
I first started trying to make movies when I was 10. So there's a lot of stuff of like me and my classmates running around in like ghost face costumes with like plastic knives. And it's like, that's pretty much all I did for about 5 years. And just sort of like, none of it's good, but it's, you got to start somewhere.
Period.
we made, you just unlocked like a core memory. We made a slasher movie in like 6th grade.
You did? Do you still have it?
Yeah, in the library.
Oh,
I gotta see if I can find that.
Oh, that's
it was
cool.
a school thing.
Don't you gotta be
It was
quiet
like a
in the
school
library?
thing.
Wow.
Is this
Well,
a sci-fi
they let us
film?
do this.
Cool.
I think it actually was like parts of it were silent, and there was just music with like the slasher chasing people.
Wow.
It was weird, and I'm sure it's terrible. I haven't seen it since I was like 10, but I thought it kicked ass then.
we all did. We all thought we're making art here. We're making some great art. Oh,
I should see if I can track that down. It might not even exist anymore.
I want to watch it.
I haven't even thought about that.
I would
forever.
love to see that.
I'd like to see it again too, personally, just to see like us being goofballs.
Yeah, it'd just be fun. Just as like a kind of a trip down memory lane.
Yeah, absolutely.
What kind of slasher was this, Evan? Was it a squirrel?
I remember. I can't remember what the face was of, but I remember there being like a goofy orange mask was the killer's face.
Oh, wow.
And
Like a pumpkin?
and they had like a ghost face kind of like costume on, where it was like it might have actually been a recycled ghost face, like Halloween, costume. And it was like that outfit where it was just like a drape kind of that covered the body. And then we had like a chrome knife.
Oh, that's
it was
so
like
fun.
so chrome. It was one of those super shiny like knives.
Oh, God. One thing I have to say, I'm very jealous of all the kids these days because the props are so much better now. The masks, the knives, everything. We had the worst shit. It was horrible. It was pathetic. And you really think, oh, we're making high art here. This is going to look great. And it was impossible to like. I did some Halloween fan film once. Oh, God help me. And we had this Michael Myers mask, and it was the worst mask you've ever seen in your entire life. Not that the ones in most of the sequels were much better, mind you, but, it was really, really bad. It's horrible. And that was the only one you could possibly get then. This horrible, like, bootleg-looking thing. It was horrible. Hideous. Oh, my God. That's all we had to work with.
Yeah, I don't know.
We were too young to ride around it. Sorry, Terrell, go ahead.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna say I was Ghostface for like 8 years in a row, so it was fine.
Oh, nice.
that was it for me. Period.
For Halloween, you were 8 years in a row. You were Ghostface.
I'm guesstimating. I probably was like maybe 5, but I mean, yeah, I was Ghostface a lot. I kept that. I love Ghostface. You know that. Scream is like one of my favorite franchises. So
I mean, he's great.
yeah,
Great costume.
Absolutely.
Russell,
One of the
did
best
you
slashers.
Ghostface a lot as a kid too? I had the bloody one. I had the plain one.
The mask.
I
that
even
would
had
just,
the
like,
white
bleed.
one.
I used to love that. That was so
The blood would
cool.
go down.
Yeah,
That was the neatest thing.
I was a mess, but I was that like every year. Like, okay, throw this on Halloween, trick or treat, get my candy. It was good. Russ, didn't you do the same thing?
Yeah, but it was before the movie came out. So I have memories of people making fun of it. Like,
Oh,
they fucking
really?
made
Oh,
fun
really?
of
Oh,
it.
yeah, you're that old. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Way back in the day.
Oh, like, so this
Yeah.
was before they used the costume in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, where
before
it was called
96.
like Father Death or something, or like
I
Anything?
can't remember the name. I remember it
Wow.
was I was super stoked when my mom bought it for me, and then I wore it and nobody was fucking with it.
That's crazy.
And then, you know, they all had an impact on me, and I thought it was dumb after that. And then the movie came out, and I was like, oh no, this thing's cool as shit. But yeah,
Apparently they called it on Wikipedia. They call it the peanut-eyed ghost.
The peanut ghost. No, I don't.
And it makes sense. The eyes are sort of peanut shaped. I could see it now. I've never thought of that before, but it makes sense.
Wow.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
It's weird to think about that. You don't think about that mask. Now it's just always in the context of those movies, right? But it's funny to think about that. Like there was it existed before that. You know.
It's insane.
They added it to Hunt Showdown. I don't know if y'all know what that video game is, but they recently added a Scream skin to that game, and that game takes place in like the late 1800s. And there was this whole debate between the player base of like, well, that mask, that movie didn't exist until the 90s, so this isn't. And then so there was this whole argument of people on Reddit coming out being like, no, actually, the mask existed before the movie, and so there is a possibility that somebody could have had, you know. So they're like, there was this whole argument about whether or not it could have actually existed then and stuff. But it looks sick, regardless. It looks fucking
That's
awesome.
pretty cool. Wow.
Yeah, you are old, Russ. Holy shit, that's a long time ago.
yeah, that mask, it, you know, Chris, you're a slasher dude. That mask might have made the most complicated licensing agreement in like film history.
Oh, yeah.
They don't own the rights to it still. It's the mask company, and that's why it ends up in games like that and Dead by Daylight, because they don't need to make an agreement with who owns that. I know it was like New Line.
It was
Miramax
at first. Now I guess it's
Miramax?
Spyglass. Now I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, like they don't own the rights. They actually license it out to make the movie. So that's why Spirit Shop goes heavy with it, and they make all those Dead by Daylight extra ones. Yeah,
because
sense.
wasn't there something where like they had shot like the first week or so of the film? I think it was all the stuff with Drew at the beginning, and one of the wine scenes was like, I hate the mask, and they had to like go back in and like change the mask or something. And so there's a few shots where it's a different mask that I think K and B designed. It's got a slightly
nice.
It's a slightly different shape, but then they were like, actually, the one that you can just license looks better, so let's just keep that and just pay up,
Terrell.
Bob. You know?
Do you know that?
Yeah, they did. They did have a different mask, and then they changed it. They're going back and forth. There was even a white one, and they settled on this. They went to Fun World or whatever, and they like had to go back and forth with them. A lot of emails.
Yeah,
but, and they came up with this one. Yeah, and the rest is history.
I don't know. I think Wes Craven, both times he didn't know what he did, or you know, with not Wes Craven. The first one was John Carpenter with that.
The Shatner mask.
William Shatner mask.
Yeah.
Because you know, with The Shape of Evil, they kind of like dress it down so that it could be anybody, and I think that worked. But with that Ghostface mask, I don't know if it gets enough love that the IP used something that was in stores at the time,
right?
And it kind of made it feel like it could happen.
Yeah,
like
some crazy person just bought a costume off the rack, and that's what they're gonna have.
Yeah, and can I take a shot, Chris? Earlier you mentioned that when the Trash Man Knocks is kind of your loose interpretation of a franchise. Can I take a shot at the franchise?
I mean, sure. Yeah.
Is it Terrifier?
No.
It wasn't Halloween. It was Halloween.
It's Halloween.
He said, I got it earlier, Russ. It was easy.
Yeah.
He said, I don't know. Trilogy.
I've actually only seen the first half of the first Terrifier. I've not seen any of the others, so I can't even comment. I don't know what happens in them. I know one is Christmassy or something. I don't.
Yeah, and it's great.
That's the new one.
I want to go back to Halloween. So you did you see what was your favorite of that trilogy? You didn't like any of them because Evil Dies Tonight was my favorite.
Weirdly enough, just put down your tomatoes, everyone. I thought of all of them, the most interesting one that actually seemed to have something it was going to say was Halloween Ends.
Hey,
I like Halloween Ends.
It's a weird movie.
I didn't, but David Dawson is hyped.
Very weird movie. I know it is. I felt the first one was like
number one defender of that.
Super safe and kind of bland. It didn't really take any risks. The second one was, if you're just into Michael killing people,
it was great.
Every scene, it's that's all it is. So yay. But in terms of like actual story and characters, I was like, wow, this Halloween Ends is trying something different, which I appreciated, and was actually much more what I thought the first one was going to be when I first heard that it was announced. I thought that it was going to be much more in that style. But yeah, I just thought I liked the way they handled Laurie a bit better in that one, and it seemed to have a little more substance. And I mean, there's some weird parts in it, of course. I mean, there's, but you know, the Halloween franchise on a whole is a bit of a mess. I love them. I've seen all of them a million times, but let's be honest here. Did it ever need any sequels whatsoever? Really? I mean,
no, and I'm sure they're going to do more.
Oh, they will.
Was great.
They absolutely will.
I love Corey. Corey is my new favorite character. I love Corey. I liked his story from him being like this timid to this badass killer or whatever.
Yeah.
And his descent into darkness per se. Laurie was just kind of off to me in that one, like talking about her titties and bacon in the kitchen after her daughter just died. Now that was the weird shit for me, but
I'll agree with that. That's the problem, is that it seems like Laurie should have started the trilogy like that and ended it the way it began. Because when you think about it, it's been 40 years. He killed, what, 3-4 people at the most. He was arrested. He's been gone for all this time. Why is she so crazy? Why is she? Why does she have this compound? You know, it didn't really make sense. It seems like after the events of certainly Halloween Kills, it would make perfect sense to have her be like, okay, this guy is unstoppable. He's unkillable. Let's build a compound. You know, but instead it's like her daughter's died, half the town has been killed in like 3 seconds, and she's like, oh, let me go bake some pies, write a little memoir. Like, really? Now you're relaxed? What is it?
I've actually just thought about this for a while.
Weird.
I think I have an answer for you. I think Laurie in the beginning is dealing with a kind of personal terror, right? And her whole mission here is kind of get to people to believe her. And nobody does. Like, they're kind of like, hey, bad shit happened, but move on.
Right.
And then that progression in that trilogy is a complete flip, right? So by the third movie, the one that we're talking about, the whole town is terrorized, like for generations, and they're fearing a ghost in the sewer. Where now Laurie's like, oh, everybody knows now, so now I can.
Oh, that's true.
Now I've reverted back to being a child.
Yeah,
she's writing a book.
Like, finally,
yeah, like it almost would be like somebody crying wolf, you know, that the town's about to be attacked, and once it finally does, they can like relax now. It's like, oh, y'all know.
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting in that trilogy.
Paul Revere at the end of that midnight ride.
Right.
Exactly.
Fuck. Thank God.
Well, no, it's not. You're not happy. I don't think she's happy that people are dying, but there's a relief. It's like, now I can stop. I don't have to like wall up my house and put a secret door and a booby trap in here.
Yeah.
Because, you know, other people are actually the thing that I've really learned to appreciate about that movie is just how they've ramped up a slasher, because slashers are very like, actually in Halloween Ends, we get to, it's first off my favorite of the trilogy, and mainly because they double down on the idea that slashers are so personal. Like, you know, the government can never help you. You call the police, do whatever the fuck you want. They never show up in time.
Right. Yeah.
So it's you, your house, your family, what happens? And unfortunately for most people in that trilogy, they die. But in Ends, it's, you know, it's this shared terror. It's ramped up. So it's not the personal experience. It's like, how does the community deal with the Michael Myers? Which, you know, I came in, and even though it did feel like you were agreeing with Terrell about Halloween, the reason I brought up Terrifier was you kind of, it's interesting. You've only seen half of the first one. Why is that? Did you turn it off?
I think so. It was, I think when the woman was upside down and getting like sawed in half, I was like, I don't think this is for me. You
don't like gore. I got the vibe. You don't like the kills and the gore.
I mean, I have no problem with it if it's used as like a little dash of paprika, you know, to kind of sell it, you know, but like, even
you don't like to lay in it, roll around.
Right. I mean,
Damien Leone likes to roll in that shit. I mean, you know,
part of it is because we have about $3 to work with, you know, so we don't have really the access to all these great effects. But
hey,
I remember
that fucking throat stab.
Well, there was
Chef's kiss. Top notch.
When I was a kid and I was, you know, going to the video store and watching all these movies, stuff like My Bloody Valentine, The Burning. These were all films that had been cut to hell. I mean, every kill scene was basically non-existent. Everything had been trimmed, and yet I love these movies. I thought they were great films. I really thought they were smart. They had suspense, some scares, interesting characters. So when I finally saw these uncut, I was like, yeah, this extra gore does, help a bit, but I already liked the movies even without it.
Yeah.
So at that point I sort of learned, like, it's really, gore isn't a reason to love a movie. It's just not, and I think if you're only in it for that, I can't really, I just don't get it. I don't understand if it's just like a bunch of set pieces of people dying one by one. It's kind of like something that you would enjoy if you were like, 10 and you were at like a slumber party and you're like, oh, cool, this one's gonna, get the scissors to the eye or whatever, and it's kind of like that, like Faces of Death, that's something people watch when they're 12 and they're like, dude, you're never gonna believe like what happens in this, it's crazy, and I think a lot of stuff in the time when I was in probably middle school, that was kind of like the sort of the torture porn era where it was all about the gore, like those most of those, like Hostel, it's all about the gore. And if people enjoy that, great, but it doesn't tickle me, it doesn't make me go, I want to watch that again. I'm like, that was a one and done. I saw it, I survived, I'm good. Like,
do you like Saw, like the Saw series? Because I love those.
I made
it tickles me
to. I saw the first four. I saw the first four in theaters with my dad. I saw
your dad, the Catholic religious dad.
Well,
my god,
he was going through a period where he wanted to like bond with me, and he knew I liked movies, and I was like, well, there's this one coming out, so
that's nice.
We did go see some of these, and we saw the first three. I saw part 4 by myself. The first 3 I actually thought were pretty decent, especially the first one.
Trilogy. That first Saw is fucking compelling. Like, holy
really
shit!
Good stuff.
Just I think if my dad, even, he's not a horror guy at all. I think if he could get past the like fucked upness of the whole movie, I think even he would like it. Because it's just compelling. It's 2 dudes chained up. Like, what the fuck's going on?
It's like a play, basically. With a little, bone sawing. But when you watch that again, there's not that much gore.
It's scary though.
Yeah, it is all in your mind. I think that there's
a lot of implied. Where it's the Texas Chainsaw thing.
Exactly. It's brilliantly done. And then of course part 2 got a little bit gorier. By part 3, it was like heads were being twisted off, and like it was really really gory. Part 4, I don't remember anything about. So I don't think that's a good sign.
Too. That big fat man running through the thing.
I can't
going
even
through each
remember.
level.
I remember nothing.
Oh, really? I love that series.
I don't remember it.
Them all.
And so
all 11.
That's when I stopped. I just thought, well, I guess it's time to stop. But maybe one day I'll go back in. But
none of the others. None of the others had the Jigsaw standing up moment, right?
No,
because I don't care what anybody says. Nobody fucking knew he was going to stand up before the end of that movie. Like, that was
no one will.
Yeah, John, exactly. He stands up off the, and you're like, what the, like, it just blows your mind, But I feel like none of the other Saw movies, they're all solid. Like, I like them all, but they don't have that.
They had different twists at the end of each one.
Just not, but what I'm saying is none of them hit like that one hits. I feel like
part 2 did.
Part 2 has a good one.
I like 2. I like great. 2. Yeah,
because that's like
2 is really good.
Amanda, right? That's
she survived the first one, and then she was in the house with them, but kind of found out she was working with them. So she's like, game over. That was a great ending.
That was a good one. That was really good.
Great.
The first 3 are really solid. I think
I really enjoyed them.
Sorry, Russ, you had a thought a minute ago when I went on my tangent. Go ahead.
Lay off the coffee for a second here.
Somebody must have texted
take a
him.
shot. First off, I have to say that I know Terrell didn't say anything, so I'm going to, but I feel very attacked by your not understanding the kills in the slasher movie. Which
I almost did, but I was like, let me let him have his moment.
Here's the thing. Here's the way to understand it. Me and Terrell are fans of pro wrestling, and that's kind of what we get out of it. Like, you show up and it's like, oh shit, how's Art gonna get him today?
Right.
Or like, I mean, the best example would probably be Jason. There's
Yeah,
not a lot
yeah.
to that character,
Nothing really.
and
Yeah.
he's just a big archetype of he like Kool-Aid Man's people to death.
But
With
his
Matt.
mom, dude.
Right.
Okay. But now here's my thing. So it's funny. There's so much here, and I was like half correct about him. One, I thought you were going to be more of an Art the Clown fan, not because of the kills, but because Art's actually evil. And there's a thing that happens in slasher movies that I see happening now, and it's always post Terrifier. And it's that people die like almost indiscriminately, and once they meet the killer, it's going down. And you execute that in When the Trash Man Knocks like flawlessly. And I actually think it's pretty interesting that you haven't watched any Terrifier films.
Well, you're not the first person to bring this up. Who else? Someone said something recently where they compared it to the Terrifier films, and I was surprised because I haven't seen them.
So do you get what I mean? Like, because it's very like so the thing, like, let's go back to the Halloween, the new remake trilogy. One of the main critiques of that first movie is that Michael Myers is reborn. It's modern times, all bets off. He's killing everybody except for that baby. Why didn't he kill that baby?
Right.
And then people, still talk. It's like, oh, okay, well, he's not fucking evil. Like I think that as an audience member, when you watch it, you're like, okay, well, not everybody's like immediate game. Where Art the Clown, it is.
Yeah, he killed kids. He don't care.
But the thing is, like, my critique with Terrifier would be that the characters are almost like NPCs, like populated in a video game. Like, it's like, oh, we're in a bar. This is pretty cool. And there's that guy.
Like
and this
GTA.
Guy. Yeah,
they're all going to die.
But no, but just the way that they're written is kind of like if you were walking through your life and then walked into a bar. This is how all these strangers would act. Where I think in your movies, Chris, everybody, it's funny that you're talking about motivation early on, because everybody in your movies feel like they are alive and that they're doing stuff and that they're not just like cannon fodder in a slasher movie. And I didn't take a lot of notes watching your movie because I just ended up kind of enjoying it. But I was shocked at how casual the dialogue was in the beginning between two people. Dude, right? We're talking to what, like a realtor and like a home inspector, and they're kind of flirting. And when we got to the point in all slasher movies, because horror films, they have to let you know that people are going to die up top, so you keep watching. When we got there, I'll tell you, I was bummed. I was kind of like, I don't want him to die. I actually was kind of invested in that relationship. Like, and it's not like I cried or anything, but when you watch as many horror movies as we do, when you feel something, it kind of can stand out. And the note I have about your films is that it never really stopped. Everybody felt like they were living a life that was now about to be interrupted by a urban legend who we really don't know anything about other than don't answer your door when they knock 3 times, which is not a fair warning, Chris.
It's really not.
Every time there was a knock, every time there was a knock, I started thinking about in my real life. I'm like, do I knock 3 times on the door?
I don't.
What do you do?
I think I do 4. I do 4. Doom, 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 doom.
You do?
I mean,
Yeah.
my
You live in
problem
a
is
shed,
like,
though. You don't be
I
knocking.
wouldn't even answer if someone knocked. I don't like.
Why?
people
You have a
coming
doorbell?
over. I just don't like people coming over unannounced. So if
Unannounced?
someone
Oh, you
knocks,
a Scorpio?
Yeah, I'm like, I get away from my door. I don't have time for you. I'm like hiding behind the couch. Like maybe they'll just go away. I don't know.
Oh my
shit.
God!
Evan,
You
you're
have
gonna have to change your plan.
turn off the
I hate
media
it.
because Evan's trying to come bug you.
So he would never get me because it's the same thing with Scream. If I don't know the number, I'm not going to pick up. So you can leave a voicemail, but that's not as frightening as actually having the conversation. So
yeah, Chris, early on, nobody pushed back when you were talking about found footage, but I it makes sense to me, man. I think a lot of the tropes from slashers kind of carry over into the in-world genre, and the thing is that a lot of those characters can end up being two-dimensional. So listening to you talk, I think you're a writer, dude. I think that's what you're leaning with.
Absolutely. And I don't think horror is usually known as a writer's genre because, traditionally horror films are made very cheaply, very quickly. They don't have a lot of time. Also, a lot of horror fans, I'm just going to say it, don't want that stuff. They're like, let's get to the stuff. Let's get to the kills. They want it quick. You brought up Jason. Most of those movies, the best ones don't do this, but a lot of them are genuinely just like Jason kills this person, then he moves on to that part of the woods, kills that person, then we have a quick little scene of two people at a bar talking, then we go right back to the kills. And it's but the ones that are really great, I think of maybe part 2 I think is great, part 4 is great, because
4 is my favorite. You love Tommy Jarvis by
these characters really have, and it's interesting. I don't know how much of it's the writing or the actors, because they're very talented actors who bring so much personality to these parts that are basically just disposable. All of these people are going to be dead in the next 90 minutes, but you kind of get invested. You're like, oh, this girl, she hasn't lost her virginity yet. Oh, I really hope she makes it work. Oh, he shouldn't have said that. Oh, that's rude. That's rude to his girlfriend. How, after everything she's done, you get kind of invested. And so when they do die, you're like, oh man, I really like them. And so you actually feel this thing. And I remember, I think it was Roger Ebert at the time, which, he hated slashers, and he was against part 4 vehemently, because he said you get to see all these young, attractive, nice, decent kids, and they're killed one by one, and it's horrible. I'm like, good. You felt something, Roger. That's good. It made you feel that you were really sad that they died. That's a good thing. And so all the best slashers, I think, have that. I mean, Halloween, Black Christmas, certainly, I think of the franchises, I think Nightmare on Elm Street probably has the best characters. I think all of them, for the most part, they have something special. But yeah, it's not really the Child's Play franchise. I think that's great.
Hell yeah,
characters too.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the. If I had to pick a franchise pound for pound, like what I would say is the best slasher franchise, I think it's probably Child's.
Oh yeah, and I think a lot of it
for me,
really because it's had the same writer there for the entire run, which is unheard of. You get to something like Halloween, and you have John Carpenter and Deborah Hill for the first 2, and really just the first one, because the second one they didn't even want to do, and you can kind of feel it. It's kind of like, let's do the same movie, but this time it's in a hospital. It's like if you go back in and time that out structurally, it is the exact same thing as the first one. It's like, okay, it's an hour and 10 minutes in. Laurie has to find some dead folks, have a big chase. Then Dr. Loomis is going to come in, save the day. It's very similar. Now, I quite enjoy Halloween 2, but it's not really, it's sort of just the same thing. But then you start to get to like part 4 and part 5 and part 6, and you have all these different writers trying to put their own stamp on it, and it just gets progressively weirder and weirder. And it's like another writer's trying to work with the continuity of another one. They have a completely different style, but they're trying to tie it in, and you can just tell they're like, what do I do with this? This is so convoluted. He's in a cult now. What's going on? Like, just gets weird.
That one scared me.
It's
part 6.
Listen, I love
me as a kid.
every single one of these movies. I love them. I mean, maybe Resurrection I'm kind of on the fence about, but most of them I really enjoy.
Yeah.
When Russell talked about recently on this show, there's I don't know, maybe you watched this too, Chris. There was a version that was getting shared around online recently that was it was a bonus feature on the DVD, but you could watch the whole thing as a found footage movie.
Yes, that I remember that on the DVD, and I thought, what a brilliant idea. This is genius.
Yeah.
And really, that movie, it's got a lot of flaws, but I think its best moments are when it leans into the sort of found footage aspect. I don't really think it does it quite enough.
Yeah.
But when it does, it's actually pretty interesting. Like the only scene that has genuine suspense in that is when there's that kid who's watching the feed, and he's trying to tell the main girl, like, oh, he's in this room, don't go in there. Uh-oh, he's coming up the stairs, and she's like trying to move away from him as he's like leading her through the house. I thought that was well done. But it's just, there's a lot of these movies, you don't really know if it's maybe the studio that kind of screwed them up, because a lot of them, they have so many notes on the screenplays, and they're just dumbed down to the point where they have no personality, which is just what they want, because it becomes disposable, and it's just a shame. But those Weinsteins, especially, good Lord, my God, the movies they screwed up. Jeez.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know we're hitting an hour here, but I want to sneak in one final question.
Sure.
Who's your favorite final girl?
Oh, that's a good one. I would have to say Nancy Thompson. I just love her. I think great. She's because she just kind of realizes, like, okay, the world is working against me here. No one's listening. The adults are doing jack shit. In fact, they just make things worse. I have to do something to save myself and my friends. And I love that she's so proactive, and she's smart. She actually thinks things through, and she's a reluctant heroine. I get kind of bummed out when I see, this sort of prototype that they have now of like the strong female character, where it's like she walks out in like a tank top, she's got a machine gun, and you're like, she can probably take care of herself. Like, I'm not really nervous, but with Nancy, it's like she starts out so normal, and you're like, I don't know if she's going to make it. Like, does she have what it takes? And I think that's what every good final girl or final boy or final man, final woman, final whatever, they need to have that, where you're not quite sure if they're going to make it. Like, do they have
Wes
what it
Craven
takes?
You need a knack for that, because I mean, I feel like those are a lot of the same qualities that like Sydney has.
Absolutely.
In Scream.
I adore Sydney. I love her to death. I do, and she'd probably be my second. I think. But even with a film like The People Under the Stairs, he's got really a final boy and a final girl in that. And with both of them, you're like, they're so young. You're like, I don't know if they're going to be able to outsmart the adults, and it's really intense. He oh God, I love that man. I really did. Oh God, the world's a worse place now that he is no longer here. I just adored him.
Yeah, I love Wes Craven. All right, so before we go, where is just if you want to plug anything that you want people to go find out about what your next upcoming stuff is coming up, you have like a website, your social medias, plug that all away so everybody can go follow you.
What to plug? A Stranger Among the Living, Children of Sin, and When the Trash Man Knocks are all on Tubi for free. They're also on Amazon. What else? I've got social media. Instagram is Some People Ain't Me. And let me think what else. I don't know if there's anything. Oh, and also I have an Instagram for my company, which is CWM Entertainment. So go follow that, and you'll get all the updates on the movies and where they're playing and streaming and all that fun stuff.
Oh, perfect. Well, good. I'm excited. Well, I'm excited for this next movie, this erotic thriller you're coming up with. So
it's gonna be fun.
Keep us
gonna be really fun
with that.
Absolutely.
And thanks for joining us in our crazy show. And this is Footage Foreplay. We're gonna see you guys next time.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Appreciate you coming to hang out, Chris. Thanks for listening to Footage Foreplay. If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving a review, sharing it with a friend, or simply hitting like. These small gestures are a great free way to support this mayhem, and if you find some footage we should be fondling, email us at footageforeplay@gmail.com. Check back every Tuesday and Thursday for new episodes, and remember, don't skip the foreplay.